Hello everyone! So in our previous video, we learned how to derive a budget constraint. If you need a refresher on that, I highly recommend revisiting the last video. Today we're discussing what happens to our budget constraint in two scenarios. So when prices change and when income changes. So let's get started. So let's remember our previous example that we had. So we have a budget or a cash endowment M of $50. We have two goods, apples priced at $2 and bananas priced at $1. Now, let's imagine that the price of an apple has increased to $5 while the price of a banana remains at $1. So how does this affect our budget constraint? So there are two effects here, one on our opportunity cost and another on our intercepts, and we want to explore both now. Starting with the opportunity cost, in our initial scenario, when I bought an apple and moved 1 unit along the x-axis, so the axis for apples, I had to give up 2 bananas. And this was reflected as a 2-unit drop along the y-axis. This relationship between what we give up and what we gain is actually what defines the slope of our budget constraint line. But now, with the price of apples having increased to $5, when I decide to buy an apple and move 1 unit along the x-axis, I'm actually giving up 5 bananas instead of just 2. This means that for each unit of movement along the x-axis, we're now dropping by 5 units on the y-axis for bananas. So as you can see here, the new line is steeper, and this visually represents our increased opportunity cost. So the additional bananas we're basically giving up to buy one more apple. And this is exactly why we say that an increase in the price of a good leads to a steeper budget constraint line. Okay, let's move on now to the intercepts and what happens to them. So since the banana's price hasn't changed, the intercept for banana stays the same because I can still buy 50 bananas with my $50. However, with apples now costing $5 each, my $50 budget only gets me 10 apples. So the apple intercept shifts from 25 to 10. Okay, now let's discuss the second scenario. What happens when my income changes? So we'll revert the apple price back to $2, but this time our budget doubles from 50 to 100. In this case, the opportunity cost stays the same actually, because to get one apple, I still give up 2 bananas. My sacrifice does not change. But the intercepts They do change. So with a budget of 100, I can now buy 100 bananas or 50 apples, each costing $1 and $2 respectively. So we see here an outward parallel shift of our budget line, so I can buy more of both goods, basically. And what's really important here is that this is a parallel shift, actually. The slope of our budget constraint, which represents the trade-off or the opportunity cost between apples and bananas, it remains the same because the prices of the goods haven't changed. So the line is just further out, representing the fact that we can now afford more of both goods with our increased income.